Ooh, wadlala wala phansi. Awu. Right. Let's do the build up. I want us to get started with the build up to Dublin, the capital city of the Republic of Ireland, right? So yeah, what's actually going to be happening is the final, of the UEFA Europa League, which will actually be taking place, in Dublin, between the Italian club Atalanta as well as Bayer Leverkusen, the Invincibles. Bayer Leverkusen are on to make history, man. They want to make history. So, therefore, they are basically, in my opinion, Bayer Leverkusen are the favorites to actually win the UEFA Europa League this season, right? But, Atalanta are not a pushover, ladies and gentlemen, because, after 9 months of thrilling action, in the 2023-2024 UEFA Europa League, it's now reaching its conclusion, with Atalanta basically taking on Bayer Leverkusen in the final in Dublin. So I can say to y'all, Atalanta is not a pushover, man. So that's why I don't want to underestimate them. But I feel like due to the fact that Leverkusen have been invincible, they just recently clinched the Bundesliga title, going the entire season unbeaten. And they basically are unbeaten in all competitions. They're yet to lose a single game this season. So all eyes are on the Germans. The Germans are actually the team to actually beat. They are the team to beat, Manch, Currently, they literally are the team to beat. So you look at the fact that, Atalanta are now the fifth in the Italian Serie A, right? And they were actually the Group D winners, So they had to face off against Sporting Lisbon, the Portuguese Giants, and they defeated them 3-2 on aggregate. They faced up against Liverpool, and they knocked out the Reds. They blew them to the sword at Anfield, knocking them out 3-1 in aggregate. And remember now that, against the French, the 2017 finalists, Marseille, they knocked them out by 4-1 on aggregate. So basically, last season, remember, they didn't partake, in the Europa League, right? And their best ever European performance, came... Basically, I remember Atalanta they made it all the way to the quarterfinals in 1990 and 1991. And they also made it to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Europa League not so long ago. I think that had to be 3 or 4 seasons ago in the 2021-2022 season. Yeah, that was basically 2 seasons ago. Yes, 2 seasons ago. It was in the 2021-2022 season when they made it to the quarterfinals, right? And the one player that I think is actually going to be so key in this Atalanta squad is the Dutchman. Yes, you heard it right. Tien Koopmeiners, right? He's a key player to actually watch. And another one is also going to be Giorgio, Scalvini, So it's playing against this Atalanta team is you just can't underestimate them. Irregardless of who you are, whether you're Bayer Leverkusen, whether you're AC Milan, Juventus, any big club in Europe is always going to have a difficult time playing against this Atalanta team. They are such a difficult opponent. They are so formidable. That's the reason why they made it to the finals of the Italian Cup. They just lost to Juventus due to that early goal. And now they're in the finals of the UEFA Europa League. And they are also competing for a Champions League spot. So this is actually a very formidable opponent. Yes, but on the side of Bayer Leverkusen, literally how they qualified is that they were 6th in Bundesliga last season, right? And they were the winners of Group H, and they come into this final unbeaten, going up. They defeated sides like Karabakh, West Ham United, as well as AS Roma, right? And remember, last season they made it to the semi-finals of the Europa League, losing out to Roma. But this time they were able to get their revenge, So, remember, Bayer Leverkusen have won this competition before. You have to go back all the way to 1987-1998 season. The 1987-88 season, that was the last time they were actually able to clinch this tournament, which was then known as the UEFA Cup back then, right? So, on this side, on the Germans, the 2 players that I think are actually going to be key is, Florian Wirtz as well as Jeremy Frimpong. And the fact that, they've now clinched their first ever Bundesliga title and they are still unbeaten, they're just not yet done. So could they actually go the whole season invincible? I guess they could. I guess they could. Because remember, these two clubs have met before. They've met before, right? They met in about 2 seasons ago. It was in the 2021-2022 seasons when they met. And yeah, Atalanta got the upper hand in the first leg, right? And then obviously they were able to wrap it up by 4-2 on aggregate when these sides last met. So Atalanta actually have the upper hand. They have the upper hand, I meant to say. Coming into this tie, the Italians actually have the upper hand. So the two teams' only previous meetings came in the last 16 of that particular season. So Gian Piero Gasperini's side came from behind to actually win the first leg, 3-2 at home, as far as I can remember. And the tie hung in the balance up until Jeremy Boga struck the only goal a week later in Germany. So Frimpong and Wirtz both missed the second leg through injuries at that particular time. So, yay, the Italians have the upper hand. Although the Germans come into this one as favorites. Regardless, you understand? The Germans come into this one as favorites. So you just cannot underestimate anybody. Anyone, it's this game is in the winning, right? It's anybody's game. Anyone can actually claim this trophy. Although, even though the Germans are the heavy favorites, like I said before, you just cannot underestimate the Italians because the Italians also want it as badly as the Germans do. Yeah, and a few players from this Atalanta's side, will actually relish that particular moment when they did eliminate Leverkusen in this very tournament, 2 years back. And let's look at the Germans, Leverkusen, the 5-time runners-up in the past. Leverkusen, they stormed their first Bundesliga title this year, and they can actually complete the treble if they follow up with the Europa League final victory with success against, Kaiserslautern, in the German Cup decided on Saturday, the 25th of May. And it is actually a stark contrast, to Leverkusen's famous 2001-2002 campaign when they actually finished second, in Bundesliga, and they were like the runners-up in the German Cup and as well as the UEFA Champions League, only losing out to Los Blancos, Real Madrid, right? And to say the least, remember the 2-2 draw against Roma in their semi-final second leg was basically, as far as it goes, it was like their 49th game unbeaten since the start of the season. They've now extended that run to actually 51 matches. That's incredible. That's insane. That's literally insane. They're literally unbeaten in 51 matches. Do you guys understand? Like in 51 matches, they literally unbeaten. And like that sheer number of crucial late goals they have scored is a measure of immense desire. Like these guys have like the desire. Xabi Alonso has instilled that immense desire. Like, in the side that, what, guys, we're going until the end. We're going until the end. We're not giving up. We're never going to give up. And that's the attitude that I've seen from this Bayer Leverkusen side. They just never give up. They never. They go up until the very end. Even when you look at Atalanta, I mean, this is a team that has actually impressed me in previous seasons. They've actually impressed me, this Atalanta side. Yes, unfortunately, they haven't been able to keep up like that momentum as you had expected, but they've actually been very impressive. They've been very impressive because think about it, Atalanta have only lost about 1 game in their previous 6 matches. So like that's also another thing that you also got to look at. Yes, despite the fact that Leverkusen come into this, final unbeaten throughout the season, even Atalanta are on a decent run of form, right? And to say the least, when you saw that game between Atalanta against Roma, the match they played, it just proved to me that Atalanta are beyond incredible. They can beat any team they want. You can't disagree with that. So the climax of Atalanta's season has been so incredible that Gasperini's men playing out, at a different tempo to their Serie A rivals and sparkling in the UEFA Europa League, where forwards such as Charles, Charles, right? As well as Gianluca Scamacca, they've hit like top form when it counts the most. And Leverkusen are undefeated this season, but this will actually be a very severe test for the German champions. So that's why I'm saying, I said it even at the beginning of this video that yes, Leverkusen coming to this one as the favorites, but you just cannot underestimate Atalanta. You can't. Like, you can't do that. You just can't do that. Because anyone who, yes, I mean, apart from that fact, anyone who has seen Leverkusen this season will find it hard to believe that, the Verk self, will actually lose this game. That is not because Xabi Alonso's side are invulnerable. Karabakh and Roma showed that in the previous rounds, but because of, they have responded to every setback that they have faced so far. And we've seen that many times in the Bundesliga as well as even in the Europa League. And they actually remain unbeaten. So the amount of late goals that they've scored is also another measure of the quality that Leverkusen can call on from the bench. Even an inventive side like Atalanta may find it like too hard to actually handle. So that's why I'm saying that, okay, fine, Leverkusen are indeed the favorites to win this, but you cannot underestimate Atalanta at the same time. You understand? With everything said, that's why this final is actually going to be so exciting. And I'm looking forward to this one. And everybody, I hope you guys, the viewers at home, you definitely are looking forward to this one. Because the final will actually be an historic event, For a team like Atalanta, to say the least, it's truly incredible. But it's actually a good omen for them. It's a historic achievement for them because, they celebrated, after defeating Liverpool, outclassing Liverpool at Anfield. That time when they outclassed Liverpool at Anfield, you knew very well that this team is going to go far, right? Even when they beat Sporting, So Atalanta should actually be very well aware that it's not yet over. They have several important games to play, but, they have to think about Leverkusen so much. Even though on the side of Leverkusen, yes, they should be very pleased that they are in the final because it's 2 finals in a week as a result, because Leverkusen this season have literally showed great character in the semifinals against Roma. And you look at the players, it shows that these players actually want it so badly. They want to win so badly. And they actually have a chance to actually win a treble this season. And they deserve it. If they do, they deserve it. Just like I also think Atalanta deserve to actually finish this season with silverware, So it's a win and grab. It's a smash and grab for both clubs. It's a smash and grab. And here's another interesting fact. The Uefa Europa League trophy actually stands at 65 centimeters tall and weighs like 15 kilograms of silver. So a silver cup on a yellow marble, plinth, right? And it was actually designed and crafted by a Bertoni workshop in Milan, just above the plinth. And a group of players seem to actually be jostling for the ball when in fact they are supporting the Octagon Cup, which is actually emblazoned with the UEFA emblem. So the 2023-2024 winners will also gain a place in the new look, 2024-2025 UEFA Champions League phase. So yeah, that's just the way it is. It is like that.